are you?
It's Avital and Jason here again to talk about D&D.
Yep.
Now, I keep wanting to do that, make that popping P noise with my mouth, even though I know that's not good for microphones. It's just like a, what's that word? Like a tick kind of a thing. Anyways, so last time we had just been up to Veljar, up here in the north. I don't know if you can see the mouse on the screen or not, and we had Rasha and her friends are on the sort of quest for the Dragon of Time, who's one of the, I just forgot, they're not called original dragons. What are they called?
Firstborn dragons.
The firstborn dragons. I mean, original is the same word. Also, Jason's not this short.
I've shrank since the last time anyone's seen me.
I forgot to bring the desk chair up from downstairs, so he's on a kitchen chair.
It's a perfect opportunity to tell them that I was a victim of a terrible wizard spell.
You look so short.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Because I can't reach it because I'm so short. Will you move the mic up just a little bit? On the arm.
What? Wait. What do you mean?
Carefully put that arm right there on the glass and hold it down, and put this arm on the arm and just like push up. A little more. I didn't realize this beforehand. Okay, that should pick up both of our voices much better.
All right. We didn't pull up the document to read from, did we? Did we? Okay, good.
You mean this one?
Gotcha. Good. But yeah, last time we were on Tirlan's quest with Rasha and friends, and we were in
Veldyar.
Well, we were in Veldyar, up here.
You started in Nihura.
In the north. But we ended back in...
Tonatoga.
Yeah. Back in Tonatoga, down here in Nihura. Or, not down here, over here, I guess.
And you swapped out party members. Because Argoth was called away to do something.
Yep.
And instead you got a professor. He was like, he can't be here, so I'll help you guys out.
Yes. They're like, it's the professor. And his name, well, I know his name is... He said his name was Jack
Rothbach.
Jack Roth.
He kept changing it.
Bach. Anyways.
Jake couldn't remember it.
He was... Was he there when we went to Shanagara? I don't think he was.
So he wasn't. He was there to begin with, and then he had to leave.
The professor?
Well, Jay had to leave, so...
Oh, so he didn't come with it? I thought it was after this. That doesn't... Okay. Anyways, but yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he doesn't join you.
Yeah, he doesn't
speaks
join
with
us.
you, because
Yeah.
Jay can only join for a minute. So...
Yeah, at this point, hello, Dad. Line for Zion. The professor speaks to us. I'm not sure why he was willing to help us or anything. In character, what I knew, I'm not sure why. I don't remember. There are reasons.
Yeah, it's also because, like, Argoth and he were buddies working on stuff.
Him and Argoth knew.
In
and
the
so,
Trade Kingdoms, and he was there, you know.
We kind of talked to him about the dragons we still had to go, and, like, we didn't have a lot of information on them, and...
He's like, well, I might be able to help you track some of them down.
And he was going to go and, like, work on finding some of that information.
Right.
Because the player couldn't, like, join us at that point.
Right.
So,
he said it takes some time to track them down. But if he's successful, it should aid you in hastening your journey knowing that the invasion is imminent, which is, like, what he cared about.
Right.
It's like, we need you heroes to do things other than this, so, like if I can help you, I will.
Yeah. So at this point, besides my character Rasha, there's Anton is there, Ragnar, Argoth had to go off somewhere else. Was Alexander? Yeah, no,
yeah.
I know for sure.
Yeah.
No, I know for sure Alexander was there. Jenya was there.
Jenya was there.
And, who else? Tirlan. I think we said that because because Phil couldn't be there, and Phil
Right.
usually plays that NPC, our friend
Yes.
Phil. And so then we forgot about Galadglir. We kind of retconned it. They were like, well, I guess he didn't come on that one.
Actually, yeah.
Because we just forgot. Because we usually had a specific person portraying this NPC, and he wasn't there, and we forgot about the NPC.
So Galadglir hung back in Nahura for a little while.
Yeah.
And chatted it up with some Naga.
So,
Ragnar was also gifted.
From Jormungand.
Jormungand.
He got a horn that was kind of cursed-ish, but it was also cool, and a really cool hat.
Helmet.
Yes, like I said, a really cool hat, which gave him, like, teleportation and...
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
Is a really cool... It's called the Tarn Helm.
It's like a spangle helm. Style.
A mithril cap.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so he had that. So this is more people in the party that had access to teleportation, which was good.
And being able to get around, and they're getting on in their character levels, so travel is good. So from Veljar, they do go back to Teleminus. God dang it.
Right,
Tonatoga.
Yeah. We had said
Nahura.
that. Nahura and Tonatoga. We didn't have a lot of... Because we were in Nahura, which is close to Shangara, which is where we know one of the dragons is, which is Subura, who we knew that she was very dangerous, and did we know that she was insane? We had heard that.
You had heard that.
Yes.
Even
very
Tirlon had
dangerous
suggested
and
it.
insane. However, we were here in Nahura, which is right by Shangara, so we were trying to figure out any information. Now, obviously, we had come back, and the
Naga.
good snake people,
The Naga.
their ambassadors were still there. They were kind of now like the permanent ambassadors, I think,
Mm-hmm.
in Nahura from Shangara.
Yep.
And so several of us went to go and talk to the lady, whose name I don't remember. I don't know if it's in here. Or
It should be.
Shemti.
Yep, Shemti.
Shemti. Her name is Shemti. She looks like the most human out of like the three important people, but she's got like sneaky scales and stuff on her. And so we go and we want to talk to her, and she's in a bath. So we have to take a bath.
Like a public bath,
bath.
not like a
Right, a public bath, right. But so we all go in the public bath and ask her about Subura. She notices Rasha's eyes, which are very clearly draconic, and a very specific draconic type at that. She takes a large interest in Anton, who is a half-dragon, which is something that no one has ever seen before.
Totally new.
And she just... It's not anything, like, weird or...
No, it's like...
Anything. It's like a scientific sort of an interest.
Like a creature she doesn't recognize.
Like, she's like, oh...
Because the Naga are an ancient race, and they have like a shared historic memory, which they can call upon. It's like past lives, right? Which they can call upon, and in all the past lives and all that, nothing like him has ever existed before. And so she was interested, like...
Yes, because
where did you
he was made
come
that
from?
way through
Right.
a miracle done by
Hieratis.
Hieratis/Graven.
And he's the champion of his god. His god is Hieratis, and he's become the champion of Hieratis. One of the...
Hieratis has a champion, or was... His goal was
working on one for each alignment.
One for each alignment. But we did get some information from her, is that they don't necessarily know that much specifically about where Subura is.
Yep.
And we also kind of stressed on her that we didn't have... I mean, she knows we didn't have a lot of time, that the invasion is coming and everything. And so I think I specifically asked if there was a location that she could describe to us and that we could teleport to, and then she said, I can send you somewhere myself.
Yes.
A place that I know, that I am familiar with, and then you'll be able to move on from there.
But she wanted some things from Jenya before you guys left.
From Jenya?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
She wanted some things from Jenya. Since he's the Radiant Champion and they're there for negotiations, that's why she was like, join me in the bath. And it was pseudo-diplomatic, pseudo-not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted to make certain...
Casual diplomatic.
Right. She wanted to make certain that the Radiant Champion could speak with the Emperor to make sure that he would not send defense forces in Shangara because they will be met with hostility. She knew this already. And that to let him basically speak with the Emperor on their behalf as well, you know, again, just to support that trust. Because it's very important to the Naga. Trust. It's like, trust us with our own territory and we will trust you with yours. Sort of thing, you know. Don't try to colonize us because we'll murder everyone you send. And not just them. Right? They weren't quite at that lines yet. They were more at the, like, we just want to work together to get rid of the Illithid. Because our shared ancestral memory remembers the Illithid. And they don't want them back here again. So Jenny's like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Then these guys ask some questions, and she's like, yep, I can send you. And once settled, she transported you guys.
Obviously not right at that instant, because we were all naked in the bath.
Yeah, it's like once everything was settled and everyone was ready. She transported all of you into a dense and overgrown landscape with huge trees that rise to dizzying heights. The endless canopy darkens the soft and overgrown forest floor, making it difficult to traverse on foot where you are. Basically, unless you're Rasha, you had hindering terrain.
Rasha can walk anywhere.
Yeah. Scouts are nice.
Some creatures came down from the ceiling of the jungle and tried to attack us. I mean, we took them out pretty quickly.
They were forest sloths.
Forest sloths.
That's what they were.
They weren't, like, slow.
Well,
really.
I mean, when sloths... Do you ever see a hungry sloth?
No.
They're not very slow.
They just like to conserve energy, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of... Yeah.
But yeah, and that kind of happened, like, right after we got there.
Yeah. You've been walking for a little while, and...
But yeah, we were looking for the river.
Because she did tell you that the river would take you north.
And then we would follow the river north.
And she did warn you about Sabura.
Yes, about how dangerous she was.
Her people, when they hear the roar, the scream, they only run.
Yeah.
They only seek for cover.
It was, So we found our way to the river relatively easily. Like, we're high-level adventurers, and even though this is a dangerous land, most creatures in here don't pose, like, a huge danger to us.
Unless they somehow would get the drop on you, and...
That's
like,
difficult.
It is, because they might be able to get the drop on one of you, but probably not all of you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
exactly.
Most of their encounters weren't that difficult. They were quick, and that's kind of important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Showing high-level characters that they are the characters they think they should be. They can take care of these things that are coming after them, because the things coming after them are animals and plants that don't know any better, right? They're just like, oh, you stepped on my vine, snap, or oh, look, meat snack, I'm going to snap at it, and then, you know, they smoke a dinosaur. That's just kind of how it is. So, yeah, you made it to the river, and when you do, the canopy opens up, making it easier to see in the late afternoon sun, but the overgrowth is still dense, hindering your movement, and the ground becomes softer and swampy. So the dangers they start to enter now are, like... You know, if they sleep in the wrong place, things can get in their ears and stuff like that. So pretty much every moment is dangerous here. Not just because, like, of a creature that could jump out at you, but because of simple hazards and bugs and rot and poison.
It's a dangerous terrain. It's a dangerous land. Jenya realized that a city he visited, Maret, is to the north. Isn't that from the bad?
Yeah, from the Wanti.
The Wanti. He visited a Wanti city, and that's to the north.
To track down a criminal.
Yeah. And...
From Nahura.
And did he hear Sora at that point? Or
Nope.
I don't remember. But he knows, he's still, I think, aware that they need to go north. So we decided to follow the river north until some other clue gave us some better direction to travel.
And the river flows south, so they're walking up the river.
Yeah.
Which is why they couldn't just, make a makeshift boat or use some magic and go, take the river, because it's flowing. The mountains are also north of them. It's kind of the center of Shangara, so the river flows down, so it flows to the south to the sea. So they had to just walk beside the river in the swampy parts, which, day one, they have to, like I said, the worms that are going to try and get in their ears, they had to face off with those.
Mm-hmm.
Face off is a wrong word, just not sleep in the wrong space so it wouldn't get in your ears. I think you almost had that happen to you.
Yeah, can we please not talk about that very much?
Okay.
That's a me thing. Let's move on.
Day 3, during the night, they hear a barely audible, bone-chilling howl, and it's heard very far to the north.
Yeah, nothing much happened, but it was very scary.
Then they fought some plants the second day, or the 5th day, as they're just kind of going up north. The 7th day, some Spinosaurus attack them, coming out of they're like the alligator-style dinosaurs. Alligator, two-legged, but still.
Fought some dinosaurs.
Yeah, they sort of come up out of the swamp and ambush them, but they,
Everybody fight the dinosaur.
fight them off, pretty much. On day 9 was the most interesting encounter until the rest. So, walking through the jungle most of the day, the mountains, by day 9, they can barely see the mountains on the northern horizon. At twilight on that day, that's the 9th day, what I have in the note, those who, I think it was you and, was there anybody else? Were you just scouting ahead? Was somebody else with you?
I don't remember. It was me at least.
Yeah.
I don't think I was by myself. I don't remember.
I don't think you were either.
But anyways.
You were scouting ahead, and
Just
you heard chanting coming from up ahead. And you investigated a little bit and saw a village and something going on, and that's about all that you did. And you went back and told everybody else what was up to figure out kind of how you wanted to approach. Because it looked like there's a village of animal-like people there. But it also seemed that there were some other regular humans in pens from, you just saw, a brief glimpse. You're like, okay, something weird is going on here, and most of them are not wearing many clothing. So you guys decide to
So we did decide to check it out.
check it out.
Carefully. And so, yeah, we saw a small village where there's some really strange ceremony of some type that's taking place. There's a tribe made up of 30 unclad lizard folk, cat folk, and monkey folk were prostrated before an altar and pyre, chanting a mantra in a language that none of us understood, which is weird because we know a lot of languages.
This
a
deep
lot
in the jungle?
of languages. 8 humans, who were all Nahurin, which made Jinya take notice, were in cages with a few sacrificed on the altar and burning in a pyre near the center of the village. A lot of snakes, like 40 large vipers, specifically, writhe around on the ground around the altar. Some of the vipers were carried or held aloft by the anthropomorphic chanters in deference to the being sitting on the other side of the fire. On the blood-soaked altar in front of the flames is a golden idol of a feminine serpentine figure, 3 silver chalices with lapis lazuli gems, and 3 brass mugs with jade inlays. All the cups are filled with the blood of the sacrifices waiting to be consecrated and imbibed.
So on the other side of the pyre and altar, on a throne of bones, sits a gorgeous, long, black-haired, topless woman, barefoot in a blood-red skirt, wearing a black velvet mask with numerous citrines on it.
Those are orange gems, right?
She's adorned with finely wrought small gold bracelet on her right wrist, an embroidered silk and velvet mantle with numerous moonstone clasped by 2 sapphire pendants on a gold chain, a golden circle with 4 aquamarines around her head, a jeweled anklet on her left ankle, and a 7-jeweled mithril necklace which lays comfortably between her exposed voluptuous bosoms. Her arms writhe in the firelight like serpents, and those you guys did, I think, get this.
Yeah, we got the spot check, and so we noticed that there were small scales decorating her face, collarbones, hips, and elbows.
So she's like behind the fire doing this, sitting in
a bone throne,
wearing next to nothing.
Just lots of jewelry. So
you guys had
a few people
approached.
I held back.
Right.
I'm not the talker. It was Ragnar and Jinya and one other person. Who was it? Do you remember?
I think you and Alexander held back, and I think it's you and Alexander that were. I'm guessing it's Anton.
Oh yes, it was Anton. It was Anton.
Yeah.
Went to talk to her. What did she?
Well, Jinya, when he went to talk to her, Jinya picked up a new trick where he could like kind of see a creature's aura, spirituality, whatever.
Meditates and becomes like one with the universe.
And so he'd been doing this in the forest the whole time, and like different animals and bugs would be all over him, but like in a good way, and he could sense sort of what's around him as like, the sense of life around him and the absence of it, and he sensed a great power coming from this female serpentine lady. I guess that's what I didn't need to see female. I should have snake-like lady, whatever. And with that, and even the idea that like her chakras were aligned and her energy was quite spiritually potent. So Jinya thought that perhaps he wasn't actually dealing with a living being. Maybe either that or a being that had attained some kind of enlightenment. So instead of just walking in and like doing the typical good guy thing and killing the bad guys and taking their stuff, they parlayed with her. And because at the same time, this is the only intelligent being you guys have seen in the forest for more than a week.
Right, and we still don't know, exactly where to go and if we're heading in the right direction at all. And if we could get any kind of clue of where to go, that would be good.
So this being, evil though she may be, seemingly, probably has some information that you guys may need. So they instead sought out to speak with her. As she states, for the proper...
They talk... There's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Just some general back and forth. Before she finally demands a tribute. I think, does she say blood or gold?
Blood or gold.
Or gold.
A tribute of blood or gold.
What she meant was a slave, but it was really funny because the way the players were talking, it sounded like they're like, well, we could just give her a little bit of our blood, and I was not in the encounter. I'm like, that's obviously not what she means, guys, but I couldn't say anything because I was hiding.
Yeah.
It was funny.
But they decided on gold in the end.
Ragnar gave her a ridiculous amount of money, and then complained afterwards that he didn't have a lot left, and we're like, you didn't even ask her how much she wanted, man.
Nope, he didn't. He just
gave her like
lots
a huge chunk
of money. It's like 10K or something. She just wanted 1,000 gold. He was like, here's a lot of money. She goes, great.
It was kind of funny.
After doing so, she says, to find the great devil worm, you must travel deep into the mountains. There, in its forested peaks, lies the city of Rumbala. It is here that Subaru lairs. Where the river is born, a long-forgotten trail exists. Follow it at your own peril. Mm-hmm. And she allowed them all to leave peacefully.
Mm-hmm. Now, luckily for us, we've been playing not long enough, we're high enough level characters that we didn't just rush in and kill these people, because otherwise we would have had no clues as to where to go.
So they did a great job, because the only clue is a horrible thing. What are you going to do? Guess we gotta talk to the horrible
Which is
thing.
again why it's good that I held back. Alexander wouldn't have cared, but
No.
he held back. Alexander, and we must not forget that Alexander's dragon is also with us. His dragon
Zero-denth.
Zerodenth. So he's there also. That's very important. So we continued on our way. There were actually several nights that we slept in the magical mansion or whatever.
Yeah,
There's more than one night that someone cast that and we slept in it.
Yep. Afterwards, because you guys were pretty
We're kind
paranoid.
of like,
hearing some of what she said and what like Shemti had said and what Tirlon had said about his sister, you guys sort of, as you're getting closer, you're kind of like, well, let's take some more precautions.
Some of them, I think Jinya stayed outside most nights and just communed with the universe, but
He did.
that's him. That's what he needed to do to sleep, I guess. Didn't have to sleep in the normal way, perhaps. I don't know. But, we travel like a day or two more, mountains to the north, keep getting closer. Anyone that was outside during the night heard that same bone-chilling howl again, closer and louder this time, obviously, and makes you feel just kind of uncomfortable even after it's gone.
And so once it calls, nothing else calls back and is silent in its wake. Pretty much most of the rest of the night, the bone-chilling howl cowls all creatures that it can hear it. Because they recognize it as a fearsome predator. So the next morning, you guys continue to follow the river. And midway through the 12th day, you come to the mountains, where the river flows down from. You follow it as far as you can on foot.
And then through rigorous searching, we found an overgrown trail that leads into the jungle mountains. And this went along with what the lady had told us.
I do it all the time.
Sort of. Anyways.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, where the river is born, a long forgotten trail exists. Follow it at your own peril.
And it was a long forgotten trail.
Yeah, but we did find it, and we walked up it, and it is very deep in the undergrowth, but there's still a trail through the jungle. And
it took you up into the mountains, into the jungle, and away from the light.
Yes. Do the casters have nightmares?
Yes, this is about the time. Well, okay, so that night they have to rest again as they're going along this trail, and they hear the howl one more time. So this time the howl, they realize, is much closer, and they have to actually...
But again, this is people that were outside, right?
Yes, people that were outside.
Not people that were in the magnificent mansion.
Correct. So anybody that was outside and was a caster would have had to roll a saving throw for nightmares that night.
Was there any?
But that didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Because you guys stayed inside, and it
magnificent
protects you in ways.
Mansion.
And not specifically necessarily like that's how it protects you, but I'm not going to DM cheat and be like, oh, they did this thing, so, well, she's just going to have this spell also to get around it. I'm like, nope, I didn't plan for that. So they, without me even, they just took precautions, and it worked. It was enough to work.
So no one had nightmares, because I think the only one that really was outside was Jenya.
And Jenya's fine.
Yeah, he's
hard
to scare.
He's an enlightened monk.
He's hard to scare.
He's okay.
But yeah. So, we kept going along the overgrown trail under the darkened canopy deeper into the mountain pass. And then we came upon a lavish ancient settlement carved from the mountain itself. Stone buildings dot the landscape, and though large in area, the settlement seems to be spread out on the forested mountainside in the small valley. At no point is there open canopy to the sky, as the smallest fragments of light barely pierce the canopy to highlight unfamiliar carvings on a building, in a language and pictograms you do not understand. As in literally, like, anything that if you could do would not decipher the carvings.
There was a reason for
regardless, no matter what. Inhabitants can be seen from a distance. You know, as we approached or turn a corner, they would walk into their house or business and close the door, seeming to have not left the area. And then if we look back, we would see a smattering of people coming out of the stone buildings, continuing about their day, but no one would approach us. Yeah, most of the people would not stay and interact with us.
They wouldn't even answer their doors if you guys knocked.
Right, and they wouldn't answer the doors if we knocked. So, should I pull up Rumbala now? Alright. That's hard to read. Alright. But yeah. So, it's at this point, we're all kind of walking through this village, and a couple people tried to talk to some of the shopkeepers, and they just gave them kind of very fleeting sort of
My chair's about to fall apart.
information.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
no, please go away. Things like that. If they speak,
They're like, no, we don't wish to speak to you. The only thing that they wouldn't let them buy any of the, like, food items that they had.
Nope.
The only things were, like, trinkets and bracelets, and someone bought a bracelet and put it on.
they sure did.
Was it Anton?
Sure was.
Yeah, Anton put on a cursed bracelet.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was cursed, but it was cursed, and he had to do something annoying later to get it off, because who does that?
Yeah.
Anyways.
So as it turns out, some people who decided, I'm going to stay here and talk to this person, right? And so what happens is that person stays there, and
they just come back after a couple minutes.
right.
However, as we were playing, the first time that happened, someone went off, and Jason's like, all right, pause. And then Jason says to other people, that person comes back.
But they actually go off and do something else. Like, you went and checked out the canopy
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
wasn't
like this.
there yet.
Yeah. Sorry. They all basically end up getting split up without realizing they split up, because the moment they decide to do something that breaks from the party, they just show back up. They're like, I'm going to go over here for a second. And they show back up literally a moment later.
Show back up. So, Jenya and I said, well, we're going to try and, like, scout out a look of things. And so we went up to the canopy. He can...
Argoth was with you this time, too. Jay came in later.
Argoth wasn't here.
He came in later.
Argoth wasn't...
No, Jay totally came in later.
Oh, Argoth and not Jay. Jason.
I mean, Jason, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Argoth and his dude,
Vitari
were there.
Yeah.
But
they met you at a different point.
they didn't do a whole
finding you.
ton.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, they did later, but not to begin with.
yeah. Jenya and I went up to the canopy just to, like, see if we could see anything from up, because it was pretty high. He can fly. I have boots of flight, so I could get up there and then land on the branch.
I think you guys saw a person.
Oh,
While you're up there, right? You thought so.
No, that was after I left him.
That's right.
So at that point, this is when Jenya decides to do his communing with nature thing again, but he is really, like, calling on his goddess?
Dragon, more like. Oh, no, Matarasu, yeah, because he has the yes.
And so he's like,
Yes.
all right, I'm going to do something. And
Now
Rasha's up there just kind of looking around, and Jenya's sitting there. He's sitting there, and the thing he wears on his forehead starts glowing, but he's just sitting there, like, with his eyes closed and not doing anything. She's kind of like... It is at this point when things start to go south for Rasha. Because at this point, Rasha looks down, on the ground, and she sees Treskin, her love walking along the path. And she's immediately is just like, that's very strange. Okay. So she jumps on him.
Now separating from Jenya.
From Jenya. So they're both even separate at this point.
Side note. Sorry.
Are you talking about Jenya or me? Cause
you. Not Jenya. You're you.
well, I
was going to say, I got Ryan to play Treskin for this.
Oh, yeah. The actual player of... Yes, because this was at the time, we were already mostly online at that point, by that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But our friend was able to come actually to the house and be there. And so, this is the actual player is playing Treskin at this point, which made it like better and worse in different ways.
Made it more believable anyway.
Yeah. So, Rasha leaves Jenya. Jenya ends up, getting this burst of inspiration from his goddess Amaterasu, sees things clearly, spots this
Kenku.
bird person, right? And
tries to chase after her.
Doesn't he?
He does catch her.
He catches her, and then says, "Okay, you have to. No, you got it. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You got to take me. You got to tell me where to go.
Yeah.
You have to take me." And she's like, "Oh, okay. All right." This is actually super lucky for all of us that he did this because he got to the place first, some other bad things did not happen to the rest of us. So, Rasha spots Treskin walking along the path, so she jumps on him, as in, like...
Ha-ha!
She jumps off, it's very far, but just, like, at the last minute, she activates her Ring of Featherfall and, poof, and kind of tackles him to the ground. And Treskin's like, "Are we gonna make this a habit now?" She's like, "What are you doing here?" And, his eyes are back to normal. His sclera is no longer black. His sclera is white and,
just the white violet eyes normally.
White violet like he had before. And he says, well, I finished up things with the drow, and he's like, and I gave up all of that. I'm done with that. And he's like, and so I said I wanted to find you, and they sent me to find you. He's like, I gave that up for you. And Rasha's just like, well, that sounds too good to be true. And it was at that point that I failed my first save.
Yep.
Thankfully, we got 2. I failed my first save, and so at that point I believed that he was actually there. But it still felt like a weird place, right? So Rasha's like, all right, I want to make sure that I don't lose him. If he's actually here, I want to make sure I don't lose him. So she's like, okay, let's go. And she grabbed his hand, and they moved along and went to, and she's like, went to talk to one of the people selling stuff. And she kind of starts berating him. She's like, why are you guys here? Like, this is a horrible place to live. Why do you live here? And she's like, oh, and the guy's just like, oh, well, we've always, lived here, and we do. She's like, there's nothing. How do you get food? There's nothing around here. And she's like, this just does not make sense. Like, this isn't, like, I don't get it. He wasn't giving her any answers that she liked. She grabbed Treskin's hand again and went to talk to someone else. Again, not anything helpful. No answers that she wanted. Grabs Treskin's hand again.
Physically interacting with the illusion. This is the illusion. And if I wasn't a mythic tier character and didn't roll extraordinarily high on my d20, I would not have made this save. I think I rolled like a 19. And I had to use and I did, with mythic tiers, you can roll a d8 and add it to any d20 roll. I rolled an 8. Otherwise I would not have gotten this. It's a very, very difficult will save because they're in a very difficult and powerful place.
Illusion.
This is one of those times where, like, it actually was an appropriate challenge for the entire party, 6 of them, to go through it. Very appropriate, very
mess with your mind and things aren't what they seem, and like figure it out, because many people come here and just never leave.
So I made the save at that point. So it is at the third time that Rasha reaches to grab Treskin's hand, and then there is nothing there, and she turns and he is not there, and the people are gone, and it looks different. Right, it's not quite as meandering. And I was very emotional at this point, because I get very into my characters, and I'm just a very emotional person. And so I said, Rasha, and I'm like, I have my headphones and headset on because most of us were online, and I'm like talking through tears, right? And I was like, Rasha screams, punches a wall, and says, I knew it was too good to be true, with tears in her voice, and kind of crumples down to the wall. Jason cut away from me for a bit there then. So, what was happening with our other friends? Alexander and Z of course failed his saves. He's a rust dragon. They're not very intelligent or wise or anything.
They're more
he
wise
failed
than
his saves, so
intelligent
he was just kind of happily following Alexander around.
Alexander
failed his saves. He found a lovely lake, a beautiful lake with amazing fish. He likes
best fishing spot
He likes
ever.
fishing.
That's where he was.
That's where he was.
And that's where he would be for the rest of his life.
Tirlon made his save. Argoth and Vitari made their saves. Ragnar did not make his save, and I give huge props to Rob, the player of Ragnar, because once Jason said, this is the situation that you believe
is going on,
Rob said, okay, this is what Ragnar would do, and Ragnar went into a rage.
Just started murdering all the villagers.
And his friends.
Yes. So, and
at least what he thought was his.
Well, some of his friends were with him.
But they were able to dodge it, and they got away from him.
Yeah, they were like, oh crap.
So they got away.
It was Argoth and Vitari. They left, were like, well, we're just out here. And Tirlon.
Yeah.
And Ragnar set about the village, making it a bloody mess.
He's in a rage, right?
Illusion, and he would have been that way forever, murdering squirrels and birds.
So after
and snakes.
After a moment, Rasha has, screamed and punched a wall. The Kenku comes to her. He's like, okay, yeah, you broke through. Come on, time.
Oh.
Okay.
Should join. Lord Rambala would like to invite you to dinner.
And Rasha's just like,
as his guest.
Let's go.
And so they do. So when Jenya's already there.
Jenya's already there. So
and
we
he's
just
been speaking with Lord Rambala.
Yes. And because of things that Jenya is or does, if he had not been there first and done the things that he did, we would have seen another illusion, a mansion and a feast, but instead we simply saw a large sort of overgrownish like stone circle, I think is what you kind of said.
Yeah. It's
And what does Lord Rumbala look like? What is he? He's a Rakshasa. I don't know what they look like.
So Rakshasas are creatures of legend, like the Hindi culture, and they're like human animalistic people, but their fingers move back the wrong way, and
like this.
Different versions of D&D have them as either outsiders or undead or whatnot, but they are cursed beings and magically very powerful magically, and basically do exactly what was happening to you guys. They ensorcel people and enchant them and show them illusions and mirages.
Their deepest desires.
Yes, and get them, and basically feed upon their spirits, their soul, their energy, while also having them caught in a unreal world, in an illusion.
But yeah,
by keeping them. Usually, someone's in the corner. Right, and the thing just feeds off them because they don't know the better.
If it wasn't for Jenya, we would have. He would have welcomed us to his court, and there's dancing beautiful concubines, and there's a meal and some music, and he would have talked with us about why we wanted to find Sabura, and he's like, oh no, this is a fool's a fool's quest, and he didn't even get a chance to do that, so he was mad. However, I guess he kind of works by certain rules as well.
Yes.
Because he wasn't doing anything to us after that, after we had broken through the illusion and he couldn't manifest another one.
And you had to, so over time, many of you guys realized that when you got there, you realized your other friends were still in the forest, and different different small groups of you started trickling in at different times, except Ragnar
and Alexander and Z. We were there for several minutes talking about our lost friends, or friends that had not reached it, and the Kenku and Rumbala said they are lost to the illusion. You will not get them back. And some of them were talking about, we have to go back and find them and get them. And Rasha is sitting there like, we can't go back in there. Like, there's no way.
And that's exactly what Rumbala wanted them to do. That's why I said they're lost to the illusion, because he wants them to go back.
And Rasha is just sitting there like, no, there's absolutely no way. And so Rasha's kind of standing there. Actually, just sitting there. She just came in and just sat down, quite kind of ruminating on things for a moment, and then she says, I think that I can help. I think that I can do something. And Lord Rumbala just kind of looks at Rasha, just like,
okay.
And she's like, I've never done this before, so
it was awesome.
I gotta see. So, when Rasha became the Dragon Champion, I spent a large amount of Destiny points to get some really powerful things. And one of them was once a week, I get,
Miracle.
It's not called that.
I forget what it's called, but it's basically Miracle.
Anyway, I get to call upon the god, which would have been the god of my dragon, which is Bahamut. And Jason was like, how do you want to word this? And I'm like, Jason wasn't gonna screw me over, but I was still very nervous about how I worded it, right? And this isn't something that Rasha was saying out loud, right? And I said, please grant my friends the power to escape from this illusion. And Jason said, okay. And he asked the players to make another roll, and they're like, and Jason's like, stop, make another roll. And
they didn't realize they were getting a divine bonus to that roll.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to tell them that until
so they each made a roll, and Jason had said that there was a total of 20, a plus 20 that he would give. And I think, did they each take plus...
a certain amount.
And one of them took plus 10, and then two of them took plus 5. Like, it's how it worked out. And he said, all right. He's like, you three all break out of the illusion. And so Rasha has done that, and so that all sort of happens instantaneously, and she takes a deep breath and opens her eyes, and Lord Rumbala is just glaring at her so hard.
He's a tiger man.
Yeah. And Rasha's just like, F you, and flips him off. She's like, so there, you absolute piece of crap.
It was good. You guys did great in this, actually.
Just the fact that those PCs would have been lost. Completely, if not for me.
Yeah, you missed those 2 saves. You're stuck in a Mirage Arcana. Later they come along, dominate monster you. You're negative 10 down, and you're stuck in this place forever as these slowly feeds off of your essence. That's it. Mm-hmm. So D&D is a dangerous game. And when they go to very dangerous, evil places, it's difficult.
Yeah. And this whole session, which the session isn't even done yet, but I don't think we're going to get to all of it this time. But this was I cried a lot. And I was like, I was like, no, that was great. And Jason was, worried because you were like, are you?
Yeah, because
okay.
I want it to be a story, right? But I don't want it to be a horrible thing for you to go through.
Yeah, but it's not. I was like, it's good. Like it's emotional and it's engaging and
it's working off of relationships that the party has and like stuff. So it's meant
just
to feel
the
like
having Ryan there
intense.
was amazing, and he was before game giving things away because he was like, I don't know. It's like it could happen. Tristan could show up, and I'm like, it's not possible, Ryan. Tristan can't show up.
Lo and behold, Treskin shows up.
Yeah, but you know, it was just so much better to have the actual player there because Jason talked to the player of Treskin, Ryan, and he says, this is the situation. There's going to be this illusion, and Rasha's going to see Treskin. What would make her believe that? Like, what would... And Ryan's like, oh, I know, immediately, right away. So yeah, he said that, you know, he was successful in Saladar, and, you know, I love you, and I want to stay with you, and I don't want to be a god anymore. He's like, you want to chase me in the forest? Which is a reference to... Nikita, his goddess. Yeah, that's a thing they do. For weddings... I don't know why they chase each other in the forest.
I mean, wedding, I wouldn't call it a wedding.
Not a wedding, but like a
it's like how,
claiming sort of ceremony.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's how lovers prove their devotion is one hunts the other one in the misty woods of Merrigan. And they either find each other or they never find anyone.
Yeah, they just get lost.
There's a lot of that in this world. It's like you go into the deep, dark woods and you just might not come back.
True.
Very fairy tale-like, right? So after this, you guys, you all come back together.
They all came back together. Ragnar was very upset. We held him back from immediately attacking the Rakshasa because that would have been a bad idea.
Because you still have no idea where Subura is.
Yeah, we still have to find this dragon.
He's still this guy.
As much as though we're like, this is an awful, horrible, terrible place. But we have this thing that we said we would do, this quest to help Tirlon get a scale from...
or something.
Or something of hers. From Subura.
for Tirlon for the quest.
For the quest.
So they have upset Rumbala, but he still has holding the trump card because he knows where she is and doesn't have to tell them. Or could, depending. So you guys slowly work out the illusion, and you're not attacked. Partially because, well, he's an illusion at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't attack us. We don't attack him, thankfully, because that would have set off bad things, and we would have bad effects on us probably, and it would have made the whole dealing with Sabura even worse than it already was. Yeah. But yeah, he acknowledges that we have escaped his illusions. He is very unhappy. Especially with Rasha, but he's not going to do anything to her. And so says that will show them the way. This is the way.
In the mouth.
Lady Subura.
So is there's like I said, there's a doorway behind him that's shaped like a mouth or whatever. Literally, he has them walk into the mouth of the monster to find her, which... Once they get in there, the illusion is shattered there. They realize they're in the lair of Subura because they're all freed. And she attacks them from surprise, from invisibility. First unleashing a breath weapon, then casting highly destructive illusions, like Weird, to finish them off.
Things.
No, Weird is literally a spell.
Oh,
and
weird.
it is worse than Phantasm. It's like Phantasmal Killer to the nth degree.
There is no talking to her.
No, no.
That's not a thing. So the first thing, Rasha gets affected by fear, so she doesn't do anything in like the first round.
It's dragon fear.
Cause she's
a fearsome creature.
Is affected by that. They quickly come to realize that they cannot teleport away because they are dimensional locked. Ragnar
into it.
Ragnar
And a wall of force went up behind them,
Yeah.
stopping them from fleeing. So basically, they're trapped in a room with a great worm. Yeah. With a firstborn dragon who's trying to kill them.
This only lasted maybe like 2 rounds,
if that.
maybe, because Ragnar rolled really well and spent destiny points and has a Vorpal sword and sliced a large chunk off of her, which someone shoved into one of their bags. Was it Argoth or Vitari that had the thing, the anti-magic, or
Vitari
whatever?
has the anti-magic.
Vitari has an anti-magic field, which he's like this sort of angelic.
He's an awesomer.
He's not, yeah. He's the Argoth's companion. And there were enough people that had teleport that once, which we had a piece of her, which happened very quickly because Ragnar did.
Slump.
He's like, no!
Go!
Anton grabbed Rasha because he's like, she's affected.
And he's not, because what he is.
Yeah, and he has the things.
Yeah, the crowns are affected by mind-affecting stuff.
Mind-affecting things.
So these illusions were quite powerful and not mind-affecting, but they were glamours. So that's why they worked on Anton.
I mean, he made his saves.
He did make his saves, but still.
So the whole actual encounter with Sabura was very quick. So it's within like a few moments. It really is only just like a round or two that we got the piece of her and like we all teleport out. Because
Vitari moves back to where the wall of force is, so you can get outside of the wall of force and teleport. So they had to like move in, crap, we're trapped. Vitari does a thing, moves to the force.
No, we just had to be close enough to Vitari and we could teleport out, is what happened.
He had some way to get around the dimensional lock, though. Oh, that was right, the anti-magic. He couldn't teleport in the magic.
There was something that he
really
had.
Funky.
There was something that we had to be close to him, and we could teleport out. I don't know what it was. I just know that that's what happened.
But you also had to make it on the other side of a barrier, specifically. That's why he had the anti-magic field up.
No. Literally, it just...
No, the dimensional lock is a barrier. It's an area, is what I mean. Like, he had to interrupt that area.
Oh.
I'm talking, like, mechanics-wise. There were specific things you guys had to do to get out, and they did them.
Sure.
They figured it out.
Anyways, so a couple rounds, we sliced a piece off of this big old dragon and ran away. Anton...
Good idea.
Teleported to, like, the edge of the village, and Rasha's like, what are you doing? And starts, like, going the other way. She's like, why didn't you just teleport us somewhere farther away?
Literally anywhere would have worked.
Anywhere else.
But
oh my gosh.
still here.
We were fine. We were just not in it. But she's just, why would you? I don't. Where did people end up? Where did we end up? Did people go back to Nahura? We turned to Milovich. That makes sense. We went back to Milovich.
And Ragnar was like,
that's where Argoth is. He's in the tower there.
Yep.
That's where Anton's from.
Yep.
And Ragnar went back to Veljar. He's like, nah, I need to go home for a bit.
I just murdered a
and the
bunch
funny
of
thing is,
squirrels.
Ragnar and Alexander, and I think maybe even the players. No, the players would know. The characters didn't know until much later that Rasha literally saved their lives.
Yeah,
they did not know until she just kind of like casually mentions it in conversation later.
That was me.
And they're both like, "What?
You did what?"
at different times.
Yeah,
it happened at different times. Like, oh my gosh, it was so crazy. But yeah, so we are back in Milovich. Ow.
Oh, are you okay? That looked like that didn't feel good.
It didn't actually hurt that much.
Okay, that's good.
It made a lot of noise.
That's because my desktop makes lots of noise. So yeah, you guys are back in Milovich.
Back in Milovich.
You have a piece of Subra that Tirlon can utilize to help him.
I just forgot where Milovich
continue aging.
Up here, yes.
And going back to the power he once was before he came back. And that's a good place to end it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So.
Because the next one's way more fun.
It was just a very good session. Like I got really emotional and cried, but like it was such a good thing because just being able to, you know, really get into the character like that it's really cool, and I really enjoyed it. And if Jason hadn't had the player of Treskin be there, hadn't had Ryan been there, it would not have happened the same way. It would not have had the impact because Jason would not be able to pull off the flippancy Of Treskin?
I knew that when Ryan was describing what it was like, dude, what are you doing this day? Can you just play him for this part? He's like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm like, great. Yeah. That'll be even better.
Yeah. It worked out really well. It worked out really well. Yeah, so that was a very good session. But yeah. I lost the mouse. There's the mouse. I'm not used to two screens. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching and hanging out. It has been lovely. It is so warm in this space.
Yeah, it gets that way. Lizard person me, I don't mind it.
This small lizard. Like, now that the camera's back on screen, I forgot how much shorter your chair
is. So next week we won't be streaming because we will be...
I mean, I might have some...
We won't be streaming this.
We won't be streaming this because we're on vacation again. We're going to be on the beach.
Last one for the year.
Sort of. I mean, I have more vacations.
You do, but it's my last one for the year.
Yeah, I mean, like, just because I have paid vacations from work.
Yep.
We're probably not doing a whole lot. But anyways, that's beside the point. Thanks for hanging out. It's been lovely.
Hope you guys have fun.
And we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.